Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare and welcome back to Deus Ex. Now it's time we start this game for real. Now I know I'm going to lose some gamer cred here by not going with realistic, but medium's what I'm used to, you know? Plus, I think it allows for more strategies when not everything is instantly lethal. Anyhow, we've got a little customization to do here. Codename can't change, but the real name can, so... what's a good real name for him? Bob and Threadbare is too obvious. Let's go with John McKinsey. Why not? You can also choose the appearance. There's black hair, black Denton, tan Denton, redhead Denton, and albino Denton. Black hair is pretty played out. Honestly, they all are if you look wide enough on the internet, but I think I'll go with red hair this time. Anyhow, we got some skill points to spend here. Now, computer. Computer is absolutely essential, because you need a point in it in order to hack consoles and ATMs. Otherwise, it's just not happening. You can usually find codes around to let you into important computers, but not to all of them. Anyway, lockpicks and electronics. These are the same thing, but for two different devices. Now, at level 1, untrained, you get 10%. At trained, it's 25%, so that's a pretty big investment, especially to make early, so you can get a lot of lockpicks and electronic devices. Environmental training, that's for basically all of the one-use only items that you can equip out of your inventory to do stuff. The more points you have, the longer they last and the better they are, but ultimately they're all one-use only, and that is crippling when your inventory has a limit like it does in this game. Swimming is exactly what you expect. Swim faster, breathe longer, or go longer without breathing. And it's cheap, but it's also worthless. I mean, there's a lot of water in the game, but not enough. Medicine is pretty important though, because at level 1, untrained, you get 30 points out of a med kit. At trained, you get 60. And that just keeps going up as you put more points into this thing. Anyhow, weapons, they're mostly just what you'd expect. Accuracy and damage increases with all of them in each category. But have a couple additional things, like with demolitions, planted lambs, you get more time to disarm them before they blow up in your face. Heavy also has another thing, which is that when you've got a heavy weapon out, you're slow as hell. But the more training you have in heavy weapons, the faster you can go and the faster you can reload them. Which is pretty nice, except that heavy weapons take up a massive amount of your inventory. You're never going to have more than one. Anyhow, low-tech, pistol, rifle, that's melee, one-hand, two-handed weapons. Pretty simple. But, you know, I don't think I need weapons pistol. Instead, I'm going to put those points into medicine. And you'll understand why that's a wise decision when we start the game. But first, a couple men have something to say.
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
UNATCO?
formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience, and their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
The augmentation project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. If necessary, the primary will be terminated.
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. A new age. Aquinas spoke of the mythical city on the hill. Soon that city will be a reality, and we will be crowned its kings. Not better than kings. Gods.
I'm sure that'll never come up again. Anyhow, let's look at skills. You notice something different? That's right, if you don't put any points into pistol or rifle, the game will take pity on you and train you in pistols again. Which means I just got 1,575 points for free at the game start. They only give you 5k normally. That's a substantial amount. And I like that this guy is actually underlit by his control panel there. It's pretty neat.
Heads up, JC. Your brother Paul is on his way to meet you at the dock. The NSF is raiding the island and shots have been fired. I repeat, find Paul. I will monitor your situation from HQ.
I'm afraid Paul's gonna have to wait. I've got some crates to bash open. Now this is relatively easy to find because you've got that ladder here indicating that, you know, could be you could go down there. Maybe there's something to find.
Welcome aboard, Agent.
Well, thank you, Trooper. Hey, Paul. Don't want to get wet? I don't blame you.
Paul, I thought you were in Hong Kong. Welcome to the Coalition, JC. I might as well start using your code name. Think I'd miss my brother's first day? Didn't think you'd have a choice. What's going on? The NSF. They hit one of our shipments. A few of them got away, but we trapped the rest in the statue. What are we waiting for? Looks like a textbook assault. The NSF took one of our agents hostage. The bots are holding the perimeter, but my orders are to hold back and send you in alone. I think someone high up wants to see how you handle the situation. All I've got with me is a pistol and an electric prod. I don't mind a test, but UNATCO better issue some hardware. Remember that we're police. Stick with the prod. It'll stun your opponents or knock them unconscious. A non-lethal takedown is always the most silent way to eliminate resistance. Just in case, though, Manderley wants you to pick an additional weapon. A sniper rifle, a GEP gun, or a mini crossbow.
Now, unfortunately, this really isn't much of a choice. Out of the 3 weapons that Paul offers, one of them is not in the map.
Never know when I might come up against some heavy armor. Give me the GEP gun.
The GEP gun might be useful. They have a security bot on patrol near the statue entrance.
Great. What's the first move?
I'm going to give you a map of the island. If you can get to the North Dock, a UNATCO informant will give you a key to the statue doors. He responds to the code phrase, iron and copper. You could avoid a lot of fighting, though, if you found a back way to the statue.
I'll see how it looks on shore.
Your primary objective is the makeshift command center the terrorists have installed at the top of the statue. But don't forget about Agent Herman. We think he's being held on the ground floor.
What are my orders when I reach the command center?
Interrogate the leader. We don't yet know why the terrorists would risk an open assault.
What's your take on the situation, Corporal?
The bots have them bottled up, sir. We'd go right in if it weren't for the whole back order.
How'd they get one of our agents?
Gunter went rogue on us. When the order came, he wouldn't pull back. Now you get to bail him out. They come this way, I got him, sir.
I think the bots got him.
Well, I certainly see the family resemblance.
So, like I was saying about the GEP gun, it is the single most useful heavy weapon in the entire game, and they give it to you right at the start. Also, binoculars are pretty much useless. You can only see a tiny amount, although you do get a good look at the New York skyline from here. You know, interesting note is that if you look around, you might notice that 2 very important features are missing from the Manhattan skyline, given that this game was released in the year 2000. Now, the actual reason for that is because the memory issues. They didn't have enough space to put in the entire skyline, so they mirrored part of it. And the reason they gave, when someone asked, is that the World Trade Centers were destroyed by terrorists.
NSF everywhere, JC. Your orders are to shoot on sight. A UNATCO informant on the North Dock can get you inside the statue. Look for a bum. Identify yourself with the phrase, iron and copper.
So that was just one of those cases where you wish you weren't so right.
If you want to make a covert approach, remember the Academy stealth course. Stay out of their field of view, walk slowly to stay quiet, and crouch behind cover. Or if you have to get your hands dirty, remember that a headshot is a lethal takedown.
Get out of my head, Alex. I'm trying to talk here. Anyhow, that right there is the Gep gun. Well, not the baton, but the baton actually does the most damage between the crowbar, the knife, and the baton. And it's also a non-lethal takedown, technically, if you beat someone with it. But yeah, the Gep gun is huge and takes up a huge amount of your inventory. You can only hold like 3 of them, period. And that's if you... Okay, I don't think I'm going to take on these guys right now. Instead, I'm going to go up here first. Find out what's in this crate.
I think we've got an intruder.
Uh-oh. Luckily, I'm in the dark, so he didn't quite see me. But yeah, you can only hold like 3 heavy weapons, and they are not worth holding like that.
What?
Oh, it was easier than usual. Normally they take 2. But yeah, you do not need 3 heavy weapons when smaller, lighter weapons will do as good a job in less space. Anyhow, I'm gonna need that tranq darts, because I'm going to do this entire map non-lethally, because the game keeps track of a non-lethal clear in 2 areas in the entire game, and Liberty Island happens to be one of them.
Freight base is under lockdown till the danger's gone, Agent Denton.
Right. How you guys holding up?
UNATCO command made us pull back, I guess for Gunther's sake. What's the deal? We're ready to go in.
We're taking a minimum force approach. We're cops, after all.
Ask me. I think we should frag them all. You trespass on UNATCO property, you get pumped full of lead.
When due process fails us, we really do live in a world of terror.
Thought you nanowogs were supposed to be badass killing machines. Guess I was wrong.
Guess so.
Some advice. You get out there, you're gonna have to tangle with some real sons of bitches. Best thing is to pick them off from 50 or 100 paces with a scope. I scored an extra one from a couple of thugs we dropped down by the dock. You can have it for 700 credits. I also picked up some 10mm ammo and some crossbow darts. Say 200 for one and 60 for the other.
Shouldn't you turn that stuff over to the quartermaster?
Sure, I will. As long as Command has the rest of us on parade drill, someone might as well put this hardware to use.
I think I'm gonna need those tranq darts.
Here's 60 for the tranquilizer darts.
So much for that minimum force approach.
Hey, tranq darts are non-lethal. That's pretty minimum force. Anyhow, like you said, we can't get into UNATCO just yet, but we can get into this...
Welcome aboard, Agent.
Thank you. We can get into this bunker here. Here's a multi-tool, just as a suggestion, I guess. We'll eventually find a number for that keypad. We can also use a lockpick on that, but maybe there's another way. Maybe they hide the key in a corner.
Everything was clear an hour ago. Then, boom.
Yes, thank you. What do you know? 50 points for exploration. And an EMP grenade. That'll come in handy someday. Anyhow, like I said, you can get the combination to this keypad later. But I want to get in there now. So that's just what I'm going to do. See, there's some tranq darts here on the table, and I need me some tranq darts. Oh, you might notice, by the way, that I've changed the color scheme and set it to solid rather than transparent. Figure I can get better screenshots to post in the thread that way. In any case, that data cube had the password and code here, and it's got a few cameras that are friendly to us, so they won't do anything. But we can also open the hatch from in here as well, if we felt like.
My orders are to hang back.
Now, let's get started on this occupation of NSF.
I swear I heard something.
My usual method of travel through this map is to go counterclockwise around Lady Liberty. Pepper spray, mostly entirely useless. They will stop and rub their eyes, but as soon as you hit them, they will stop rubbing their eyes. Oh, I almost forgot to show this off, because I was doing so well. Free medbots. Very, very useful. Alright, that's enough. I've been doing well enough so far. Knocked 2 guys out with the charger. Or with the prod, sorry. Charger is the ammunition type. A lot of weapons have 2 or more ammunition types, like...
Wait, quiet.
Luckily they can't hear boxes exploding. Anyhow, this does not have to be tranq darts. It can also be real darts and
Who's there?
flare
I think
darts.
the law's on us.
Fascist.
God damn.
I forget if flare darts can set people on fire, but mostly they're there to fire into darkened areas to light them. You can also find regular flares that do the same thing, but they're items. You throw them, they don't possibly harm anybody.
That's the difference right there. Just take a look at him.
Bad?
They cut off his arm, replaced half his face.
Herman, right? He's a good soldier. Killed 3 of our men.
They'd have replaced his whole body if it would have improved performance. If that's how you judge a man, by performance, then eventually it's not about people, but upgrades, versions, functionality.
All I know is we could use a few mechs for ops like this.
Soon as we buy into the cult of the machine, we're just like them.
Rhetoric. Always more rhetoric.
Guy on the right there's got a mini crossbow. I should take him out first.
Huh?
Fascist.
What the hell? Alright, I'm finishing him off with a baton. Now, enemies in this game have locational damage, much like you yourself, but they don't have separate points for each location like you do. Also, second location where you can get medbots. And those 2 guys sure look like they might talk to each other, but I've never seen them actually say anything to each other. Oh, and something else to remember about the crossbow is that... Oh, crap. Anyway, the thing is that bolts can actually fall over time. And they can also stick in the environment, like you just saw. I just picked up one of his bolts, but it would have been better if he hadn't shot at all, because these guys do actually have a limited ammo supply. And once it's gone, they have to switch to melee weapons or run away. Looks like I get at least 2 of his tranq darts, but he could have had 4. I think it's 4. That's as many as you can carry in one clip anyhow, so... yeah. There's a guy down here, too. In this bunker thing. I'm not quite sure what it's meant for. It's too small to be a survival bunker or anything. When you fire, you need to lead your target some. At least if you want to hit their head. You can always tell if you hit their head because they will run away instead of towards you and not bother firing anything. If you don't, they'll still fall down eventually, but only after shooting at you for a while.
This power box must have been damaged in the raid. Don't cross through the arcs. I'm also picking up an EMP field here. If you're not careful, it'll suck away your bioelectrical energy.
And that's two very bad things. Oh, but that's a note I should save for later. Nothing back here except a metal crate. So there are several ways across the electricity here. One is to bypass this control panel, shut off the electricity. Another is to use a couple of those metal crates to get up, but the easiest way is just to press the button, stand on the forks, and wait for it to go all the way up. Once it does, you don't even need to jump. You just walk forward and across the box. And for that, you get weapon mods. They're very nice. Only take out 1 square each until you use them, and I'm going to be saving mine for a little bit. I'm going to wait until I get my baby before I apply those weapon mods. Oh yeah, the last thing is you can put on that hazmat suit and run through the thing, and yeah, he saw me. And great, he's got a tranq gun. Good thing I took medicine, otherwise that would have done even more damage. Tranquilizers count as toxic. And even though I missed, and thus have a net loss, at least I got something out of this. A couple somethings. Anyhow, see all these crates here? Oh, but first, yeah, there's the other bot on the other dock, keeping the NSF from escaping. Anyhow, you get up on these crates, you can climb up to the 2nd level. Of course, it also skips past Herman, which is a bad thing. Saving Herman is a lot of experience and a few credits you get for doing that. And that's enough health. I wonder how they set the bots up here so that the NSF are all inside the island, yet not being killed by the bots.
It all happened an hour ago. The barge docked and the NSF moved right on in, offloading the cargo into speedboats. Our undercover man, Harley Philbin, should be somewhere out on the docks now.
Not too low. It's coming after me. More worried about that other guy, though. Yeah, and there he goes. I'd have shot him just then, but you also gotta wait to get your aim down. Otherwise, it's more than likely you'll miss. There we go. Anyhow, those mercenaries, the guy in the blue suits, doesn't look like he fired at me. So, yeah, I got some tranq darts out of that. Nice, even got a few spare clips. And some rockets. And some sniper ammo. Just in case I happen to pick one of the other 2 weapons to start off with. Except, like I said, by the end of this, I will have all 3 starter weapons. Nothing's up there, don't know why it lets you climb. But this here is a medical box. You can tell by the symbol. There's always medkits in the medical box. Looks like our man's at the end of the dock here. Don't really know why we'd need a code. We don't look like NSF.
About time you showed up.
Iron and copper. The statue is copper on an iron frame, right?
Password's enough, pal. Don't think you know something about the lady I don't. My dad did tours out here.
I heard that you can get me inside.
Depends. You get your man out, take back the statue, whatever. But I know the commander and I don't want to see him get hurt. Here's a picture so you don't make a mistake.
We are going for minimum force.
You can trust me.
I'll take your word. Here's the key to the front entrance. The commander's not much of a soldier. He'll surrender as soon as he sees you. I need him alive because he's my main contact at the NSF. If he's dead, I don't have much of a business.
Thanks.
I think Philbin has a little more to say.
How do you know so much about the commander?
He's my main contact in the NSF. I need him alive and out on bail.
UNATCO will probably keep him in custody.
At least he has a chance if he's alive. I warned him, you know. I said right to his face, don't take weapons into the lady. That makes you as bad as UNATCO.
Don't forget, it was the NSF that C4'd the statue in the first place. UNATCO's here to put the pieces back together.
Ask me, I think the government did it. They want people to think the NSF are terrorists. I better get paid good for this. Remember, you said you wouldn't go in shooting.
I remember.
You with Philbin?
I get a cut for bringing him over.
Tell me what you know about the NSF operation.
I'm not that high level. The more elite troops, they're the ones that took over the ship and unloaded it into speedboats. I think we're supposed to be a diversion.
A ship?
That's all I know. The commander gave me a 10mm clip, a box of 30-06 ammo, and some crossbow darts and said, keep your head down. Like I'm gonna take on your UNATCO troops. Want 'em? You can have the clip for 175, the 30-06 for 300, and the darts for 50. But if I was you, I'd avoid a head-on attack altogether and not even use the key Philbin got. I'd go in the statue from the back. Less security that way.
You know, the 30-06 is expensive, but also pretty rare.
Here's 300. Give me the 30-06 ammo.
Thanks.
Anyhow, the skill points are nice, but actually coming here is pretty useless. You really don't need that key he gives you. I figure we should at least see what the flares can do. So just like on the other side, there's something down here. Normally when you're swimming, there's supposed to be a filter in your way, but, yeah, like that. But, the DirectX 10 mod I've got on kind of screws with that. So, that's flare. You throw it and it turns on and it lights places. And I'd better hurry, because I've only got so much oxygen. At times like this, you regret not having swimming. It's still pretty worthless overall. Uh-oh. Gotta make room. I don't need these stogies. Why do I even have them? Coughing nails. Nice. Alright, that's enough room. And for jumping down here, we get ourselves a sawed-off shotgun. Of course, I won't be using it just yet. But we'll tackle the rest of Liberty Island next time. But right now, welcome to Literature Corner. While Conspiracy Corner is all about the real-world conspiracies and history behind Deus Ex, Literature Corner is about the books and fiction which also inspired the game. Today we'll take a broad look at the genre of cyberpunk. Origins. Now, as the name implies, a story needs to be about two basic things to qualify as a cyberpunk work. First, the cyber. The story must be set sometime in the reasonably near future, and the advancing state of technology must be a prominent part of the setting. Second, the punk. The story must acknowledge the underclasses, must recognize the differences between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. When you only have the former, the work is science fiction of another variety. With just the latter, it's merely classist fiction. Cyberpunk took off in the 1980s, but its roots lie deeper in earlier books and short stories, particularly the dystopia novels written after the First World War, throughout the first half of the 20th century. Books like We, Brave New World, 1984, and A Clockwork Orange, among others. Philip K. Dick was another major contributor. Dick's stories were remarkable for being about unremarkable people and strange and fantastic futures. The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is about a bunch of early extraterrestrial colonists who escape their harsh surroundings with drugs that let them hallucinate an idealized world? Do androids dream of electric sheep, better known to moviegoers as Blade Runner, focuses on a bounty hunter on a dying Earth that everyone with any money has already escaped? A Scanner Darkly is about an undercover cop trying to take down a new addictive drug, trying to keep his sanity long enough to find out who's manufacturing it. Dick's stories all revolve around drugs, mental disorders, the true nature of reality and humanity. But as these things aren't central to the cyberpunk genre, except maybe the drugs and transhumanism, I'll sadly need to move on. William Gibson. William Gibson may not have invented cyberpunk, or even coined the name, but his sprawled trilogy, Neuromancer, Count Zero, and Mona Lisa Overdrive, are considered primary examples of the genre. The books are about a dark future in which corporations have taken over, and get used to hearing that sentence, and humans have the ability to jack their minds directly into cyberspace, which is a term first used in Neuromancer. He also coined Street Samurai, if any of you are familiar with the Shadowrun tabletop RPG. As an interesting side note, Gibson has admitted he knows very little about computers or technology, and it shows. The way computers are portrayed in his books is simultaneously forward-thinking and imaginative, but also as uninformed as any early 90s movie featuring the internet. Unfortunately, I can't speak too much on the Sprawl trilogy as I've never read it, but I have read Dogfight, a cyberpunk short story Gibson wrote with Michael Swanwick. In it, the main character is a petty thief who is kicked out of Washington, D.C. with the use of a mental block that causes him to cower in fear when he sees the Washington Monument. He hooks up with a female hacker going to college who has a similar mental block, only hers is based on a man touching her because her parents want her to keep her virginity. The boy comes across a bar populated by war vets who like to play a game called Dogfight, where two players direct squads of World War I fighters against each other. The boy's almost girlfriend tunes up his rig so he can fight way above his skill level, and he eventually gets so caught up in beating the resident champ that he hugs his friend, which freaks her out, to steal her mind-sharpening drugs just so he can win. He gets his victory over the crippled, old veteran with nothing else to live for except for the game and the room full of the veteran's friends, but it's not until he's basking in the glow that he realizes he threw everything away for that one fleeting moment. I've also watched the movie Johnny Mnemonic. Not much to say about that, except I now know the reason Keanu Reeves is a wooden actor. It's because he's better at that than showing emotions. Neal Stephenson. The cyberpunk novels I have read, however, are Snow Crash and Diamond Age, the latter of which had a strong, fairly direct influence on Deus Ex. The books, written by Neal Stephenson, simultaneously seem to be thoughtful, informed, crazy, and adolescent wish fulfillment. Let's start with the former. Unlike Gibson, Stephenson is highly informed on the nature of computers and programming, and it shows. His book Cryptonomicon, for instance, is all about the creation of computers during World War II, along with cryptographic secrecy in the modern age, but then it also features a more mature wish fulfillment of a bunch of Silicon Valley guys using their computer knowledge to get tremendously rich. But then the Cryptonomicon isn't cyberpunk, so let's move on. Snow Crash features the Goon, a half-Japanese man who goes by Hero Protagonist. Hero is his real first name, but the rest is his internet handle. Oh, and the book also invented the term avatar for internet persona, and he holds down a job of pizza delivery. Except that pizza delivery in the future involves speeding down the highway in a fancy flying tank of a car, and oh, he's the best sword fighter online, partially thanks to his skill with the katana, partially because he can cheat, because he designed the base codes used by major swaths of the World Wide Web, because he's just that good. Other protagonists include a delivery girl on rocket skates, and a badass native Alaskan who's the baddest ass who ever badassed. Oh, and it turns out that the Tower of Babel was devised to diverge human languages because the original language could be used to hack commands into the human brain. Like I said, these books get weird. And Diamond Age, which is only loosely connected to Snow Crash and takes place at least 8 decades later, gets even weirder. The Diamond Age is so called because nanotechnology has become dominant. The tiny machines can make diamond lattices out of basically any lump of carbon you point them at, and so diamond is used for basically everything. The upper class in the future is segregated into a number of files, with a PHY, based around ideals, ethnicities, and/or religion, such as the Neo-Victorians of the former Anglosphere who pay good money for handcrafted furniture, or the Han in what used to be China who have returned to Neo-Confucianism. The main protagonist is a lower-class girl named Nell, who accidentally finds a book designed to single-handedly raise a young girl in the upper class, a specific girl, and she uses the knowledge it gives her to eventually find and then instruct a repurposed aircraft carrier full of abandoned Chinese girls who at the end of the novel swarm onto the mainland to reclaim their heritage from the oppressive patriarchy. Meanwhile, the book's creator is caught making illegal copies and is sentenced to join a subaquatic neuralinked sex cult for 10 years. Like I said, weird. Cyberpunk has evolved over the years, although it's also responsible for how people keep putting punk at the end of genres whether or not it involves the struggle of the working poor. Nevertheless, it's a new imagining of old ideas and cutting-edge science. A natural outgrowth of fiction and technology. Thanks for joining me in Literature Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.